We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there.
Hi, this is Bret with the Swearwolves, and although we don't record our podcast on camera anymore, we do record it in an audio form, so you can listen to it if you subscribe to the podcast through Apple iTunes or iTunes. Is iTunes even a thing? I don't even know. Apple Podcasts, Apple Music. I don't even know what goes on in the world anymore. I'm still downloading stuff through ShareBear. Was ShareBear a thing? I remember downloading songs on Napster back in the day, and you'd set it, and then you'd come home after you went to work all day, and you'd come home and see that you had half a song downloaded, and it was really exciting because it was like, oh yeah, and then you'd get the song, and then you'd listen to it, and it wouldn't even be the right song that you were trying to download. Anyway, if you subscribe to our podcast through any of the multitude of ways that you can listen to podcasts in the world, thank you. If you don't, this is our podcast in YouTube form. So I'm going to start going backwards and uploading the old episodes of the podcast. So we have like 240, and most of them are not on YouTube. So I'm going to go back and start with episode 1. You're going to hear episode 1 in this video. This was when we were brand new. This was back, let me see, what date? September 15th, 2018. This was a long time ago. This is like I was but a kid, and now I am an old man. I wasn't a kid back then, but I am an old man now. We didn't know really what we were doing. You're going to hear also in the first 100 episodes or so, I think 102 episodes, Alan was the third member of the Swearwolves. He's not on the podcast on a regular basis at all anymore. It's just David and I. The first 100 episodes, you're going to hear Alan. So you'll hear David, Alan, and myself when we didn't know what we were doing. Not that we really know what we're doing now. This is the first episode of the podcast, and what I'm going to try to do is upload the old episodes on a regular basis so people can listen to them. There's not going to be anything to see. I mean, you could watch it. I'll probably just put the Swearwolves logo on the screen so you could just stare at that for hours. But you'll be able to listen to the podcast if you so wish through a different, avenue other than Apple. Where else do people listen to podcasts? I don't even know. If you want to contact us, you can contact us. David tells you how to do that at the end of each episode. You could go to theswearwolves.com. I think there's a contact us. Yeah, contact us. You can go to swearwolves.com and hit contact us. Send us an email. What is our email address? contact@theswearwolves.com is the email address. You can also call us at 623-282-1851. No one answers that number, so if you want to just call and just be like, hey, you guys fucking suck, don't worry. No, we're not going to answer. You can feel free to hide behind the phone and tell us how bad we are at everything in the world. We'd love to hear it and play that message for everybody else to hear and laugh at you. Enjoy the first episode of the Swearwolves, and like I said, I will upload more episodes as they come. If you want to be notified when new episodes get downloaded or uploaded or whatever you do to the internet, upload, I guess, subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the notification bell, and then every week you'll be notified, hey, there's a new episode of the Swearwolves to listen to. I should probably do that and click the thumbs up, and I should probably comment and be like, you guys are awesome, you're the best podcast named the Swearwolves in the history of podcasts named Swearwolves. Okay, I've talked long enough. Enjoy the Swearwolves. Welcome to the Swearwolves Horror Podcast, the podcast that discusses all things horror. I'm Bret.
I'm David.
I'm Alan.
And this is our first episode, and being our first episode, we decided that we'd talk about one of our favorite and probably one of the most iconic horror franchises, Friday the 13th. So my favorite Friday the 13th movie it usually flip-flops between 2, 3, and 4. But the one I have the fondest memory of growing up was part 2. And I think the reason why I like that so much is because Jason doesn't have the hockey mask. He's got the sack on his head. And to me, that was always just the creepiest Elephant Manny type. What's that movie? It's based on the true story in Texas.
Bret, I can picture it, but I can't think of the title.
Oh, is it
either.
the Town That Dreaded Sundown?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. The Town That Dreaded Sundown. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. But he had that same look, and the Elephant Man had that same look, and apparently Jason doesn't like the way he looks either. And so he's always self-conscious.
He's very vain. Yeah,
he's very self-conscious. He's like, oh,
He would
look
never
like
survive
shit.
the age of the selfies and stuff.
Oh no.
A very high angle selfies. hide his chins.
Yeah. Hide that one eye is lower than the other. He's like the Shannon Doherty of serial killers. He has to cock his head to the
He
side.
uses a Snapchat filter, so he always looks like a fucking cat. Like roses around his head.
Yeah. No, but 2 was always good. 2 was also good because I liked it because the counselors were like, they were like prepping. I know that happened in 1 also, but they were like prepping. They were all there, you know, and a lot of them leave the camp, right? So not all the counselors die. Only like probably like 6 counselors actually die.
Yeah.
Because the main gal, Ginny, I think is her name. You know, you'd
That
think I
sounds
would
right,
know
yeah.
the
No,
name.
that sounds right.
Ginny and Todd come back from the bar, leaving like a whole group of them back at the bar. The only people that stayed were like the horny couple who get it with the spear through the bed, which was always another one of those cool like kill scenes. I think they replicated that in a couple of the other ones. I know
like
part
comes,
5
like,
does
up through the neck.
No,
comes
that was
out.
part 1.
Oh yeah.
That was Kevin Bacon.
That's right.
Part 2 is like the couple is upstairs fucking and the guy's on top and the girl, you just see her eyes like get really buggy and she's all, and then he takes the spear and he goes right through both of
Gets
them.
them both.
Yeah, he gets them
Did
both.
anyone else die before that scene? Because I
Well,
always find it weird in
yeah.
horror, like how people still find time to have sex.
Even,
You know, like all this murder is happening, but like let's plow. You know?
yeah,
we can
they're like,
still.
you know what? We haven't seen Tommy in like
But yeah,
4
I hope
days.
he's all right. Also, I'm very, very horny.
about
Very
that
horny.
blowjob. Yeah, no, I don't think anybody had. I mean, I think people had died. No,
Yeah, I think the
Crazy
guy in the
Ralph.
wheelchair.
No, he dies after that.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
I couldn't remember.
he dies after that.
That's one of my
But, like,
favorite
right
kills.
after. That's a good kill
It's one
too.
of my favorite kills because he just hacks him
He gets hacked,
And
and,
then he
then the
falls
wheelchair just goes
down the steps on that hill.
the longest staircase in the history of staircases at a camp. There's no way you're sending your kid to that camp, and then you're like, "Oh, this is safe." And why is he a counselor? There's no wheel. Not saying that people that are in wheelchairs can't be counselors, because obviously they can, but there is no wheelchair accessibility for that guy at all.
I think he's there for like inspirational purposes or
Maybe.
something.
Yeah.
Like motivation or something.
But it's like he's not going to be able to, like, the kids are like, "Oh, let's go on a hike," and he's all,
Yeah.
"Not me."
Or they go swimming. It's like, what's this guy's going to do?
Yeah,
you know,
he's like,
who's he going to rescue?
I'll be back here arm wrestling people, playing video games, handheld video games. Yeah. So no, but then yes, because him and that chick, they make a bet, right? And
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, if you beat me, I get to do stuff to you."
That
Or-
chick was so hot.
She was pretty cute, but
Oh,
so the one couple gets killed. Not to go through the whole movie, but then so she's like, "Well, I'm gonna go freshen up."
oh,
I hate that. It's the freshen up and we could talk about part 5 because I think we all watched that recently. But in part 5, like there's the shortest sex scene, with the exception of Halloween. It's the shortest sex scene ever in a film. And then he's laying there like he's all proud of himself, and
Yeah.
and then he's like, "I'm gonna go wash off in this dirty, grimy lake."
Yeah.
He's gonna go wash his dick off.
apparently that sex scene went pretty long, and the MPAA told them to, you got
They
to,
had to make it more
you
realistic.
got to. Well, they edited a lot out, but apparently it was like a really, really intense sex scene.
Oh wow.
But they cut it back.
I think the guy who directed that movie
He did
actually
porn.
directed porn. Yeah.
You're right.
Oh,
That's
wow.
correct.
He knew what
Yeah.
he was doing.
Yeah.
You're right though. The Halloween one is like
There's-
and done.
There's 2, right? There's 2 sex scenes that last like all of 4 seconds. It's the first one when Judith Myers
Oh yeah, in
gets
the very,
killed at the very beginning.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
lights go off,
That's
and
right.
then all of a sudden
And
the
then-
boyfriend hightails it out of there. It's like he was done before. He must have came in his pants, and he was embarrassed, and he ran. And then she's in there all satisfied,
Yeah, she's all
brushing her hair.
brushing her
She's
hair,
all,
yeah.
"Oh, that was so
Yeah, that was
good.
really nice.
Call me." Michael's like, "You hooker."
Yeah, I'm gonna kill you.
Anyway, part 2, I just think is a lot of fun. Plus, you get to see the dead head, and plus, it's the first Jason experience because part 1 was all a
The mom.
mother's revenge, right?
Right.
Part 1 to me was always a reverse Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way I always looked
absolutely.
at it. It was just a mom who was
No
just
one was
obsessed.
expecting it to be her.
No.
Yeah.
No, well, we didn't even know she existed
Yeah.
throughout the whole movie. So,
Right.
of course.
Well, I remember like even as a kid, like the first time seeing that movie, I was like, all right, like when's Jason going to pop up?
Part
When's-
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first
Yeah.
one. And then I was surprised, even though the movie by that point was, probably 10, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
'cause it
here.
came
When
out
I
like,
saw
what,
it as a
80?
kid, I was
Yeah, I
like,
think.
okay, where's Jason? Friday
Yeah.
the 13th.
Yeah.
You'd already played the video game. You already knew about it. And you're like, where's Jason? It's like,
Yeah.
it's the mom. It's like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. So part 2 is probably my favorite. David, do you have a favorite?
I do. Kind of like you though. It kind of bounces between part 4. I've recently I like part 3 a lot more than I used to, but for me, part 6, and it's funny because I know part 6 is the one that I think a lot of people kind of bag on. It seems like that's the one that like you either really like it or you think it's terrible. I think part 6 is great. I know like a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't like. I think that's the one that has like no nudity. Some of the violence and some of the gore is kind of off screen.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, that was the first one I ever saw.
Mhm.
But then I also like that one to me is the most iconic that Jason is like, that's the first one where he's like zombie Jason. Like he's not just a man. Like now, like, and the way they bring him back with getting struck by lightning.
Very Frankenstein-esque.
Yeah. I just thought they kind of started it off like right off the bat, like this is not a serious movie. Like that's the first one that it seemed like the humor was baked in, like it was expected. Like, all right, there's going to be a little bit of comedy. with
And I think it was organic humor too. It wasn't like, hey, we're going to go slapsticky. With
right. Yeah. It's still like the tongue was firmly in cheek with a lot of it, and I like that one's got the cabins. You have, the whole scene with the canoe and, him getting chained up and him, getting like setting the lake on fire. I really like that one. And I like, Tommy Jarvis, even though it was a new actor, I think it was Tom Matthews in that one. Being like, kind of growing up, like being fearful of Jason and wanting to take him head on.
Well, and I think
there's
that's
a lot
another
going on in that one. I think it's cool.
That's another good point too, is that they brought this character back. It was like, I know he's in part 5 also, but he's the one who kills, spoiler alert, kills Jason in part 4.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the one in part 5 who's possessed by the demon of Jason. I'm not possessed, but
Haunted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Haunted by Jason in part 5, and then in part 6 he's the one who brings him back. So they went 3 movies, and part 6 they could have totally just said, fuck this character of Tommy. But I think bringing him back now, something that I think would be really cool is if they did eventually do another one that brought that character kind of back.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
But we'll talk about that in a second because that has to do with something else. But go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I also like the soundtrack. It's got a lot of Alice Cooper songs. It's very of the time.
Yeah, Alice
It's
Cooper did an original
80s.
song for that, right?
He did the Man Behind the Mask.
Yeah. What was I watching? That was John Travolta's nephew driving that.
Really? The guy who's like
RV?
blasting the music.
And he's
no
like,
shit.
this is rock and roll.
Yeah, and he like turns it up. Yeah.
He's like, she's totally into this.
And isn't he like banging that girl like on the RV? Or,
Yeah, they were parked, and then
Yeah.
there's some spooky shit going on, so they
So
decided,
he decided to
let's get
drive,
outta
and then
here."
she's bouncing around.
Yeah.
And then Jason shoves her face through the side.
in the fucking bathroom.
Yeah, and I think that's another good thing too. Is I love part 6. I think part 6 is a lot of fun for this movie, and I don't think it jumps the shark as a franchise with part 6. I think part 6 I would include with the original 4 as being the best of the series. The other good thing about that though is that there's actually, it's a camp. Now.
Yeah.
It's actually a camp. There's
Yeah.
kids there.
Yeah, and I grew up, playing the Friday the 13th NES game, and for me, like part 6 is the one that it feels like that, and it's I'd have to look at like what year that game came out, but I imagine they came out probably around the same time, so it probably is the movie.
Oh yeah, I
the
think
game
it
was
is.
mostly based off of.
Something like
Yeah. And it also has a cool part where, and it's again the RV scene, but like where Jason like gets on top of it and basically flips it over. You know what I'm talking about? Like the crash
Doesn't he
scene.
stand on top
Yeah,
of
he's
it
standing on
afterwards?
top. Yeah. It's pretty.
He's very
sweet.
menacing. He's
Yeah.
very menacing in this movie, and he's like you said, there's humor, but it's not forced. There's action. It's not gory. I think I would show my child this movie
Yeah.
before I would show him some of the other ones because it's not gratuitous.
No.
And I know we're probably going to talk through like, some of the people that we met from the movies, going to conventions and stuff. But CJ Graham, who's Jason in part 6, was the first Friday the 13th actor I met, the first Jason I met.
Yeah, mine too.
That's,
and
makes
he
it
was
extra
really
special.
nice.
Yeah,
He was one of the
just
coolest
a super cool
dudes.
guy.
Yeah.
It's like we took a family photo with him. And
Yeah.
it was
Oh, you guys did?
my daughter, who was about 1 year old at the time, she was like perfect. He was holding her, and like, she had a blast.
And
such
he's a
cool
big dude. He's
is a
like
big guy.
in good shape.
Yeah.
He's bigger than Kane Hodder.
Yeah.
Like
For
height
sure.
wise.
Yeah, height wise, build wise,
Yeah.
he's bigger.
I know everybody points to Kane Hodder as being the end all be all. But Kane Hodder was also in some of the shittiest Friday the 13th movies.
That he was.
So, but that being said, Kane Hodder was really nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read somewhere CJ Graham is the third tallest Jason, and he's a big dude.
He's
a
the
big guy.
third
He's the
tallest.
third
Well, I guess
tallest.
the
Well,
guy
the
who played
guy-
him in the remake.
Yeah, that guy's big.
I think the guy in
the
Freddy versus Jason
guy's huge.
was the tallest.
Yeah.
I remember
He's
reading
huge
that.
in that movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
and
was
the
definitely-
remake guy. So yeah, you got a favorite one, Ellen?
Yeah,
Were
definitely.
you done with part 6?
I'm
David?
done,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Definitely 2. I love part 6, and like Dave mentioned, the music. I think it really added to it, and like you guys said, it wasn't really, it wasn't as serious as the other ones. It kind of had like a little comedy to it, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun to watch, and no, but definitely part 2. I love the vibe in part 2.
Part 2, I mean, all of the Friday the 13th movies, I think, have really good scores.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time I saw part 2 being like pleasantly surprised with just how cool the music is in that one.
Absolutely.
Like the music's cool in the original too, but I felt like part 2 is like where like the score almost became like a character. Like it like
that's where it was established.
Yeah.
I think.
I do too. I love the music, but I really like part 3. The theme song from part 3,
Oh,
the
the
disco.
Oh my god, yeah.
I think they did such a good job with that. I think because disco was totally dead at this point.
Kind of
right?
goblin-esque.
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit,
really
you know?
cool.
It's
But it was very like waka, waka, waka,
Yeah.
waka, 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 waka.
what I love about some of those early entries, though, is man, everybody's driving shitty cars.
Oh, here's the other thing about
cars
those early
will
entries.
start.
Here's the other thing about those early entries. Okay, this is a compliment, so don't take this the wrong way.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
All the women and men are average
They look like regular people.
looking people,
Yeah.
and I love that about older horror movies.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to the remakes, don't get me wrong, I think, obviously beautiful people are beautiful people, right? But when it comes to the remake of Texas Chainsaw, you got Jessica Biel, Jordana Brewster, you got even the ugly nerdy kid is like buff and like all he has is like glasses, and they're like, oh, he's such a nerd. In the Friday the 13th remake, some of the most beautiful people, men and women, are all the different characters. And in the original, the hero, Amy Steele is the heroine in part 2, and she's very pretty. Even to this day, I think I saw a picture of her not that long ago, and she's still an attractive lady. But she is the girl next door.
Yeah, she's not like cartoonishly hot.
She's the one you would save.
Right.
Like, because she can take care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
She's got strength of mind and of body, but she is just a good person. You root for them. When someone's too pretty, you're like, fuck this dude or fuck this chick. You're too pretty. You need to die.
Yeah, or like, they're really pretty and they don't ever get dirty. Like they somehow manage to stay clean. The makeup is always still looking really good. Like,
But they always have a
hair.
white shirt on.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
And no bra, and find their way through water.
Always.
Always. So that's why I kind of like those 70s and 80s slasher films, because they hadn't gotten to the supermodel-esque things. Did you guys ever go to camp when you were growing up?
No, I wish I had.
I did. I went to Boy Scout. I was in Boy Scouts, so I went to camp every summer. You go to camp for like a week.
Yeah. I went to church camp of all
I
things.
was about to say I probably could have gone to Bible camp
Yeah.
or something, but
I went to church camp,
I
and
declined.
I lived in Wisconsin, so we went up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there was an island out on this lake, and they would do a special camp that you'd have to sign up for, and you'd go out to this island for a week. And there was no running water. And on one side of the island was the boys, on the other side of the island was the girls. Now we would mingle, right? We'd play games and stuff. But you'd have to walk these trails through the woods to an outhouse to go take a shit, which I didn't. I held my shit for one whole week. This is a true story, by the way. I held my shit for a week.
I think I did the same thing in Boy Scout camp, and then you go home and take the biggest shit ever, like the foot long. Where we went. Like, oh my god.
Yeah. So we come home. We have to drive a bus. We have to drive a bus from Upper Peninsula down to southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. Our parents, there was a couple friends, and our parents met us at this restaurant, and we were all going to eat.
Now, what year was this?
This was probably like 89, 90.
Okay, so you'd already seen some of the movies.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was freaked out. But I also hadn't taken a shit in a week. So I was more freaked out about the bowel movement I was about ready to have. So we all excuse ourselves, and it's me and 3 other guys who I went there with. And there was 4 stalls in the bathroom, and we're all like shit buddies, right?
Was it just a symphony?
It was a symphony of just droppage. But so I looked, and then you look down at the bowl, and it looks like, someone
like
just
a
took
Jackson Pollock painting.
It looks more like clay on a potter's wheel. It's like someone just took a big ball of clay and just slammed it down. It's just like a cow patty. But I'm in the middle of shitting. Excuse me, I'm in the middle of shitting, and there's a cleaning lady. I'm like,
oh no.
Get out of here, lady.
They did not pay her enough to clean those stalls because nothing moved. I flushed and everything just kind of stayed there.
Did you just give her the contents of your wallet? Like when you walked out, you're like, I'm so sorry.
I was 13. I just hightailed it out of there. So I recently asked you guys to watch a short horror film called Never Hike Alone, which was a Friday the 13th based short film, about 55 minutes long.
Fan-made film.
Yeah, it's a fan-made film, but I really liked it. I thought it was a unique take on an old principle. At first, I thought it was going to be a found footage, and
I'm glad it wasn't.
I'm glad it wasn't also, because I like found footage films in some regards, and we can talk about this. This would be an idea for another podcast, but in other regards, like, I think they're done terribly at times. Most of the time. But this was a guy who had a web show, and he was filming like hiking, and he would go out on these different trails and he'd film them to show people, and he would tell them where he's going.
Yeah, I got since he was like a vlogger or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had like his own YouTube channel, and he's out there by himself, as the title would dictate. And he comes across Camp Crystal Lake accidentally. I won't go too far into the details.
Or what's left of it.
Or what's left of it, yeah. I won't go too far into the details about it right this second, but I want to get your guys' impression of the film.
I really enjoyed it. I agree. I thought, like, when it first started, because it starts with him kind of talking to the camera, and it felt like it was going to be kind of I was pleasantly surprised later, like when it wasn't just him talking to a camera the whole movie. I thought they did a good job of working that stuff in, also like intercut with actual scenes and things like that. But the way he stumbles onto it's kind of cool. So I liked how he was out and he finds a mile marker that it's not on the map or something like that. So he starts, trying to piece together exactly where he is. And I liked how, as he starts to piece it together, you slowly he starts to realize that Jason Voorhees is a real person and he's alive.
Yeah.
I thought it was very well done. I also liked how they took their time, for a short film. Jason doesn't even make an appearance until about halfway through the movie.
Oh no, totally.
And I thought that was cool too. There was a lot of build up. We were like, oh my God, like, where is he? And then, once he finally pops up, then he's, pretty much in it the rest of the way. I thought the action scenes were well done.
And it was traditional Jason too. It wasn't hacked up Jason. It wasn't part 6. It was like part 3 Jason.
Yeah, he looked like a man. Actually, that was one of the notes I took, was he wasn't like this Hulk-like creature that he was in some of the later films. Like, he looked like a man.
Still had hockey mask.
Yeah.
But he was Jason. Yeah,
some of the best suspense was created from not being able to see Jason, but he's there. And I thought, the mile marker thing was interesting because that just kind of shows you how they don't want you to find where Camp Crystal Lake is, on updated maps. They're
Yep.
not gonna,
They don't want to promote it.
Yeah, it's
Because they don't want a bunch of idiots going there and partying
Party
or whatever.
time.
Yeah.
And that would happen.
Of course
too.
it would happen.
Well, and there was a little bit of that, like when he figured out, like when he first walks, like he finds a couple like nudie mags and he's looking through them. Like
Yeah.
he is like, oh wow.
I
this
guess
is
I
really,
just
really
assumed
cool.
those were Jason's.
He's like, oh, that's my material.
Well, that's why Jason was so pissed
Yeah.
because he took his fucking Playboy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and I liked when he found the camp, he was like, let's explore it.
Yeah.
That's his channel. And he's like, obviously this stuff happened 30 years ago. There's no way that this is real or this is still in existence.
It's cool that he explored it because, we got to see where it all went down, and I thought the cinematography was fantastic. The camera work, you could tell they used some drones.
Yeah.
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 Some of those overhead
Yeah, even
scenes.
like the opening scene, I thought was kind of it reminded me a little bit of the opening of The Shining.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
kind of overhead shot mixed with like one of those Dennis Leary narrated Ford commercials, like where the truck's going through all the puddles and going over rocks and stuff.
Yeah, no, it was very well done. I mean, and I can't imagine they had a huge budget. They had to have a little budget because there's a guest appearance at the end of the
That's
film.
right.
Is there anything we're missing? You took notes. Is there something we're missing?
I mean, there was some like funny stuff, like when it was so little. I thought it was going to become more significant later in the movie. But he's in his tent and he's talking about this shovel that he's putting together.
Yes.
And he has, and funny as I sit here with notes to my side, he kind of blows it while he's describing this shovel, and he has to stop filming. So he goes back and he looks at his note cards so he can learn more about this shovel that he's putting together. And you can also tell, like, it sounds like it's a sponsorship or something like that, where like he has to plug this shovel and work it into the show.
And he's very critical.
And he doesn't believe in it. And like he even
he's
says, like, this thing looks like a piece of shit. Like when the camera's not running. I thought there was an opportunity missed where he ends up using the shovel later, but I thought that could have become like his primary, like main weapon against Jason. And maybe that was part of the idea, was to tease it that way.
Yeah.
But something that I thought was kind of funny. Did you notice? I can't remember if it was the shovel or the machete, but there's a part like when we first see Jason, I think it's the shovel. Somebody pulls like a weapon out of the sand, but it makes like the shing like sound, like which would never happen if you were pulling something out of dirt.
That's right.
Or anything.
Yeah, the magic. It was just like one of those like very sound effectsy kind of
very
things. I was like,
exaggerated.
that's not how.
Well,
that's not the sound that makes.
Okay, well, we're gonna be nitpicky about Friday the 13th film in that regard.
Well, that's like when it like in the pull, it's like, okay, here comes the big showdown between the
yeah.
machete and the
I was
shovel,
just-
complete with the shing sound.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. So you're right. They could have explored that maybe a little bit more, where he's talking about how good the shovel is, but then he's questioning on whether or not the shovel's good. And so either he or Jason could have taken this and used it as a weapon. And let's say it just falls apart. All right. It just is a total piece of shit. So like Jason gets it and he's going to kill this dude with it. And it just like crumbles in his hand. And he's like, thank God this shovel was a piece of shit. And that's how he can get away. So there was some places,
Yeah,
but
they could have done something with it.
listen, you're talking about a 50-minute movie where they don't have maybe the time or the resources to set up stuff like that, because they're setting up other things. I will say that there was a moment, it might have been two moments, and I don't specifically recall, but I remember watching it. I was alone watching it, and it was at night, and my heart started to beat a little bit. It got intense.
Yeah, there were definitely some good moments.
I thought the whole thing was pretty well done. I mean, my criticism of it is very nitpicky, because there's really not a whole lot to criticize. Like it's very well done.
Yeah.
Jason was a little clumpy. Like he sounded very heavy.
And he wasn't a big guy. He wasn't a big
dude.
It was
but
like putting a Jason costume on David here.
Yeah. And he walked like, he had kind of like a stiff, his legs didn't like, kind of stiff-legged when he walked. And then like the Foley work, you're right, that was very like.
You could definitely tell
like
when
each
he
step.
was nearby for sure.
One thing that I thought was kind of funny was it was a crystal clear, beautiful day when he finds this cabin. Yet once he finds it, did you notice there was fog? Like all of a sudden there was fog everywhere. Like in the middle of the day, like hey, we got the fog machines going.
The place is a trap for horror, and
it's just haunted.
Fog is part of that.
Yeah.
I will take this movie over part 7, part 8, part
Hell
9,
yes.
10.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
And the remake. I think that this should be, if they're ever going to do a Friday the 13th, I think that this would be a good route to take.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Let's not spend a lot of time on backstory. Let's just all assume that we
Yeah,
know
you
the story
know who
of
this
Jason.
guy is.
We
Yeah.
don't need to rehash it all. This takes it to that level and just goes, hey, look, you guys know what the fuck you're in for. So let's just go and do it.
Right.
But I just want to close this by saying that there's that guest appearance at the very end. And we were talking about Tommy Jarvis, Tom Matthews specifically, as a guest spot, as a paramedic. And he's Tommy Jarvis, right?
Yeah. At first, I didn't know it was Tommy Jarvis. I thought it was Tom Matthews playing a paramedic.
They were very careful to make sure that we knew he had his first and last name, I believe, on his uniform.
He did have it, and he says the line from part 6 where he's like, Jason, you maggot face.
Yeah, he called him a maggot head.
Maggot head, because he calls
And
him
I had
that.
to rewind it because I thought he said a different word at first, and I was like, "Whoa!" Because like they did that in Freddy versus Jason. What's her name?
They said
Kelly,
the F
Kelly
word?
Rowland
Oh,
said
yeah.
that. Called Freddy that, and I remember even at the time seeing it, I was like, "Whoa!" Wow.
Yeah, that was like what, 2000?
Yeah, I was like, you don't say that.
No, you don't say
Well,
that.
that word's
Definitely don't say that in 2018.
So then everyone was like, okay, he said maggot head, which is what, he called him in part 6, I think.
He calls him maggot head. Come here, you maggot
He
head.
goes, hey,
when he's out
maggot
on
head, remember me, asshole?
Yeah.
Hang on, kid. We're getting out of here.
Yeah, and they just haul ass.
And then the way it ends, did it remind you of Texas Chainsaw a little bit?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course it did. It had that, riding away. Well, some people died and they escaped, and Jason's just kind of back there by himself. Still looking to kill. Yeah, and why does Tommy Jarvis live there? Why is Tommy Jarvis a paramedic? I don't care.
But did you guys notice that he was pursuing them? Even though he was on foot, he was going down the road.
That's true.
I think it would be a good plot for a feature-length film. Maybe add a few more characters. You can't just have it be one person the entire time, because we want to see more.
Yeah, you got to
kills.
get more kills. Yeah.
Or they could do another fan film.
They could do another fan film. They could definitely. There could be like a series.
As a matter of fact, I believe the entire cast is on board to do.
I read that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said they're all down for doing another one. And wasn't the director played Jason, if I'm not mistaken?
That's
right?
correct.
Okay.
Okay. Props to them. I highly recommend. Look it up on YouTube. It's free to watch. Never Hike Alone. I give it, if we're going to do stars, I give it 5 out of 5. I think it's a very good. If you like Friday the 13th, you'll love this.
Yeah, I agree. Like if I were going to put it in like with the rest of the Friday the 13th movies and rank it, it'd be it'd be at the top half.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd
look,
probably
we're
give it
dealing with
4.5 Jason's mom's heads.
That's a good ranking
That's a good
system.
ranking.
That's how
That's
we'll
my
rank
ranking
movies
right
from now on. We'll go Jason's mom's head.
Mrs. Voorhees.
Head. Decapitated head. That's hard to say though.
4.5 heads.
Severed heads.
Yeah. So we were talking about the video games. I know David and I have played the Friday the 13th Xbox and PlayStation game that came out recently.
I play my video game standing up.
They didn't have that, but I guess you could get the old Friday the 13th for Play Choice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. You could do that.
You could somehow
do it.
Oh, there's a way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a way, which would be kind of interesting. Make a dedicated NES Friday the 13th cabinet. That would be kind of cool.
That would
Purple,
that would be
blue trim.
Yeah.
We're all into arcade and pinball as well. So in fact, that's how we all met each other. But you could do some killer side art on that. You could make it like a blue cabinet with purple trim, or purple cabinet with blue trim, to kind of like what Jason looks like in the NES game.
That'd be really cool.
It is probably NES version of Friday the 13th. It is probably one of the hardest when I was a kid, at least. It still is. I was playing it not that long ago. It was one of the hardest games
For a
I ever played.
Nintendo game, it was really hard.
It was one of those though, I think was close to like about as hard as you can get without it being like cheap and
Impossible.
just being impossible, where you had to break out the Game Genie to beat it. Like
No.
that was a game you could beat it without the Game Genie, but it was going to be
And I
you
beat
were
it
gonna have a hard
eventually.
time.
I beat it eventually. And this is before internet. This is before I probably had Nintendo Power.
Yeah, I think
I
I
don't
had
know if
Nintendo
they
Power.
ever mentioned it in Nintendo Power because it wasn't that popular.
I think they did because I think it helped me like figure out what I
did
actually
it?
needed to do.
But I just remember it took me a long time. I mean, we're talking like probably a year or two to finish the game.
Yeah, if you don't know what you're doing in that game, you're not gonna.
And it gets really hard because you got to save those children. It comes to the point where you're just like, fuck those kids. I got two
I
other
remember getting to that
cabinets
point too,
full.
like where I wouldn't even bother. Like they get that little beeping sound. Jason's near. He's gonna kill somebody. Like, yeah, let him. That's what he does. Yeah, he's gonna get him anyway.
Find out what counselor he's gonna attack.
Yeah,
It's
get
like
the-
I'm not gonna save. Yeah, I'm not
Dun,
gonna.
dun, 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 dun. It's the same music over
But
and
when
over.
you come across Jason in that game,
It's so scary.
Yeah.
You shit yourself in fear. Like
You gotta play that game in the dark.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like he runs across and yeah, oh my god.
It's a
scary.
great game.
Or like
Yeah.
when it goes to first person and you're going through the
Yes.
cabin trying to find stuff. Sometimes he just pops up
Yep.
and you're like, oh my god, he's right there.
and he's got that machete, which doesn't look like a machete, but you know it's a machete. It's like a butter knife, and you're like, you motherfucker. But what about his mom's head? Now that always kind of like I was kind of like, fuck this game. First of all, there's a lot of things if we're gonna be nitpicky.
There's
about
like
the game.
werewolves and
zombies.
zombies. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every horror
and his mom's
video
head's
game.
flying.
Yeah.
And you kill zombies in that game the same way you kill them, like, you know, in real life with rocks.
Yeah. Every horror video game has like little sub enemies that don't make sense. Like
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Like you had to kill snakes and like
Yeah, they
Or
throw
even
all
like
this-
Goonies,
bats and
right?
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh
Goonies
yeah.
2, Goonies 2 and Goonies for the Nintendo.
Throw in these little superfluous
Yeah,
baddies.
they're like
Kill.
mice that you have to
Yeah.
kill in Goonies.
With a yo-yo. Yeah.
yeah, with a yo-yo. It's like, did they even have a yo-yo in Goonies? I don't think so.
No, he's got a marble bag. Why did he swing a marble bag?
Or just throw marbles
Or
down.
something.
Yeah, but it's a good game. I actually do enjoy the game, and I remember at the time being very disappointed in it because it wasn't like the movies. But the older I get, the less I care about that.
Yeah.
I just love the music. I think
Yep.
the MIDI soundtrack that they did, the stuff.
It's so good.
my
Like,
son was
like I said
talking-
earlier, it's so repetitive, but it's awesome.
we had another Friday the 13th game come out a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Ilphonic and Gun Media put out the Friday the 13th game, which I got pretty much when it was released, and it had a lot of bugs to it. But I love that game.
I love it too, and I'm terrible at it. But I have it on PS4, and it is by far the game I play the most. And you would think I would be getting better, but no, I'm as bad as the first day I got the game. And I hate being Jason.
I
because
hate being Jason
suck.
also.
I can't kill anyone.
So in the game, it's an 8v1, 7v1, and then I think Tommy Jarvis makes it 8.
yeah, something like that.
So you can be a counselor, which there's 7 people that can be a counselor, and 1 person is Jason. And so it rotates, so you can get into a room. Like if we all had PS4s and there was 8 of us,
And it's online, right?
it's online,
it's
yeah.
online.
So you could all play together. Unfortunately, I have Xbox and David has a PS4, so we've never been able to play online together. But you basically all go in there, and randomly one person is selected as Jason, and everybody else is a counselor. You can select what counselor you are. Different counselors have different abilities, much like the old NES game, actually.
Yeah.
Each game opens up with a beginning kill scene. So everybody's around like a campfire or they're doing something, and all of a sudden Jason pops up and he kills one of them.
Yeah, and usually then it cuts to like a guy's face that's like, like there's a guy that like freaks out, like, oh my god.
And then everybody scatters, right? So there's a group of like 8 people, 1 person gets killed, everybody scatters. And then it goes into the game, and then you're from your perspective. Well, it's not a perspective, it's a third person. But it's your counselor is standing there, and it's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
And I would assume that automobiles do not work.
Automobiles,
They do not, but
you have to fix
you have to
them.
fix them.
You have to-
So
oh, that's
and
kinda
that's
cool.
that's what makes the game fun. So you can get like like a car battery, keys, yeah,
And
so
gasoline.
gasoline. You want to repair the vehicle. So you have a few different ways that you can win. So you can either escape, like so either by car or by boat, or you can like call for help, like and repair like the phone and
Yeah, you
have the cops come.
Yeah. So escape by car. There's 2 cars. There's a 2-seater and there's a 4-seater. So you always generally want to fix the 4-seater, so you can get more people out,
Right.
and you can get out that way. You can fix the 2-seater. There's a boat that appears sometimes in place of the 4-seater or the 2-seater. I don't know which one it does, but you need to get the propeller and the gasoline for that, and then you got to hightail it out through the lake. You can call the cops, and then it becomes a waiting game. It's like 5 minutes.
Yeah, timer starts once the cops are called.
And then you just got to wait. And then as soon as the cops get there, you have to get to where the cops are, and then you're safe.
Yeah.
Or there's a time limit on the game, which is like 30 minutes.
And you can just
20.
wait it out. And
Now, if you're Jason, can you kill the cops?
No. If you get close to the cops as
They will
Jason,
kill you.
they will shoot you. You always get back up,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they shoot you.
Yeah.
And then you can also kill Jason.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You can find his shack and get the sweater. And then you have to call for Tommy Jarvis. Tommy Jarvis comes because he hears the message on the radio, and it's Tom Matthews doing the voice, and it's his
that's cool.
image. And yeah, he comes back. So one of the players who's already died
gets to come back as Tommy.
gets to come back as Tommy, and Tommy is fast and strong and smart and all those other kind of.
And
good
I am
things.
equally worthless for Tommy Jarvis. I'm so bad. I was playing online once, and there was like a woman, like I could hear her, through her headset or whatever that I was talking. She was like, "All right," and she kept calling me Tommy. She's like, "Tommy, like." I had a shotgun. She's like, when I say shoot, you shoot him. Tommy, you got this? And I didn't have a headset on, so I couldn't tell her. She went, Tommy,
I don't know what
Tommy,
to do.
all right, I'm just going to assume that you do it. And so it finally comes time to shoot him. She's like, shoot him. And I pushed the wrong button, and I think I put the gun down. And the girl goes, shit. And like everybody just takes off running. I felt so stupid and worthless. It was,
So usually as Tommy,
awful.
I will sacrifice myself to save everybody else.
you're so heroic.
I am.
You're a good man.
I go there and I try to lure Jason away from everybody. But the fucked up thing about the gun is it's only one shot.
Yeah.
I suck at the gun too. I never can shoot that thing right. I aim wrong. I sit there and just hold it there, and then like I do what David does is like I'll press the wrong button because
Yeah,
I'll
like,
panic,
put it away.
and it'll just go back.
And like I was so excited too. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be the hero. Like I'm gonna be the guy. Like for once, I'm so terrible at this game. I'm gonna be the one that's gonna like save
the
everybody.
world.
And no, we all died.
Everybody-
because of me, because of my cowardice.
It's also really cool too because you can be different versions of Jason. So you can pick your favorite Jason. There's the Sackhead Jason.
Oh,
there's
that's
the part
cool.
3.
I've got the part 3, or I play. Mine is the 8-bit Jason from the Friday the 13th NES
Yes.
game.
Yeah, so the
got
music
the-
that plays, that's the other thing about this game. This game scared the shit out of me the
The
first time
music's
I
creepy.
played it.
Yep.
Because the music gets more intense the closer Jason is.
Yeah.
And he can sense you. Here's the other thing. So there's another game out called Dead by Daylight. It's a 4v1. So there's one killer and 4 people. But the killer in that game, which can also be Freddy. You can be Freddy in that game. You can be Michael Myers in that game. So it's kind of cool. But the killer in that game can't sense people. In this game, if you're Jason, you get this sensibility and you turn it on and you can see everybody. You can see
Wow.
where they are.
Yeah, it's
So
like
that's
a
kinda-
like a radar kind of thing.
that's one of the things that I thought was fucked up because you can't just hide from Jason
Yeah, he'll find you.
'Cause
And
he'll find you.
and he can kind of teleport. Like he
Oh,
can,
he always does.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can kind of show
He's
up
got
out of nowhere.
magical abilities.
Yeah.
But each Jason also has different abilities. Some of them swim better. Like I think part 7 swims really good. Or part 8 swims really good. Part 2, I don't know what he might be faster running or something. But everybody's got different abilities. So it's a fun game. It's got really good music, and I just wish they were coming out with updates. But as it stands, there's a lawsuit, and we won't get any updates anymore.
It is a fun game though. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I wanted to talk to you guys about something I mentioned to you last time we were all together. Excuse me. Which, and I don't know, maybe I'm not the only one who has this theory on Friday the 13th, but I know I made this up on my own. Okay. I won't say that nobody else has ever thought of this though. I don't think the Jason that we know of, we'll talk the first 4 movies, okay? I don't think the Jason that we know or we call Jason is Jason, the kid that drowned. I think Pamela Voorhees had another kid.
Ooh.
And after Jason drowned, she kept that kid isolated from everybody because she didn't want him to suffer the same as his brother did.
That's a
So
pretty
she
I
raised
like it.
him.
I like it.
Yeah.
She raises him in the woods. And that's why in the first movie, she's so strong because it's not her. It's him and her together doing the killings.
Okay.
That's why she's such a wuss when it comes to killing Tina. Is
Yeah,
it Tina or whatever her name
I
is?
can't remember at the end.
At the end, she's such a wuss because you would think, well, she killed Steve. She killed all these other people that could have easily put up a fight against her, but she wasn't able to kill this, survivor, the girl that survives. So I think that it was both of them doing the killing. She just so happened to be the one that, and that So Jason, she does dream, the main girl. I wish I remembered the survivor's name.
Yeah, I can't.
Look that up real quick.
I
But
don't
the main girl dreams that whole Jason little kid popping up out of the water,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Right.
But there was the other son who does see his mom's head get decapitated, and he's all fucking distraught about that. That's why he doesn't go and kill this chick, and she gets found by the cops before he even has a chance to, because he's busy gathering her head and her body and bringing them back to the cabin because he's all fucked up. What was her name?
Was it Alice?
Alice.
Alice.
Yeah. So Alice doesn't get killed only because the killer is so distraught at this point. Then he finally gets his wits about him, and he knows Alice. He knows who she is,
Okay.
and he hunts her down. Beginning of part 2,
Right.
kills her, right? Moves the teapot,
Yep.
all's hunky-dory.
Oh yeah.
That's why he's not a little kid, and that's why he's back from the dead, because I don't like the supernatural element
Yeah,
of it.
I don't either. It's
I
more
never
fun to
liked that
think of him
Jason
as
drowned
a
and then
man.
all of a sudden he comes back from drowning. No. He would have, his mom would have known. He would have told
Yeah.
his mom. So this is a different kid. And that's the way that I would go with the story, at least for the first 4, because once it gets into part 6, we already talked about it being supernatural at that point. I mean, then you're kind of off the rails, but the first 4, I think that explains a lot of it.
That's a pretty good theory.
I like it.
And if that theory is the case, man, she had some ugly kids.
Well, maybe it was the guy. Yeah, maybe the dude was like, yeah, he's really ugly as a sloth from the Goonies.
Yeah, maybe it was
Sloth from the Goonies.
Yeah.
was
Hey.
the dad.
That's the Goonies.
Or-
That's the
Friday
connection.
13th connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Corey Feldman was actually it's Tommy Jarvis. Tommy Jarvis' nickname was Mouth.
Oh my god. It's all coming together.
Oh
No,
my
but
God.
maybe it was like her brother or something. Or maybe she got like raped by
Raped or
a
something?
family
Yeah.
member, and she had these kids, and she was just trying to make ends meet, working as a cook at this camp in the summer, and she brings her kid there, her oldest kid, and he ends up drowning. So she goes psycho nuts, takes her other kid who's also disabled, and raises him in a shack out in the middle of the woods,
What a life, man.
Yeah, not really.
Snacking on forest animals.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that was just a
Killing
theory. So I wanted to, at one point in time, I was going to write a Friday the 13th movie. And that was going to be the basics of it. The basis of it, it was going to be like, hey, you saw the movie. It was going to be kind of like self-recognizing, saying, hey, those Friday the 13th movies, that's not the real story.
Get a load of this.
Here's the real story.
Wait till you hear this.
And it was going to be like some old man telling this young kid, like, you like those Friday the 13th movies. They're based on reality. And he's like, what are you talking about, mister?
Pull up a chair. Let me tell you.
And I'm him. And he pulls off his mask. So yeah, that's my theory on that. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it. Anybody listening, you probably all think it's stupid. I wanted to bring up something that I saw online the other day, and I reached out to the person who created it. So here in Phoenix, there is a person or a group of people who are doing a live action role playing. So I guess it would be LARPing.
Oh no, I don't know. Oh no.
Well, yeah.
That changes everything.
I've
It's
never
a
heard
game.
of LARPing.
I mean,
You've never heard of
live
LARPing?
action role play?
No.
Like dress up and go out in the woods and do weird stuff. LARP to Deliverance or something.
I've heard of these kids that they dress up like mascots and stuff like that.
No, that's
but-
a furry.
Oh, okay.
LARPing is less sexual.
Yeah.
It's like live action role playing. So instead of sitting around playing D&D, you dress up and you go out and you actually do this stuff. Would be in the same vein as this, but it sounds a lot cooler. So I saw this advertised on Facebook one day, and I sent it to David, and I was like, I want to talk about this. So I reached out to the person who did it, and she wrote back to me, and she said, so the gist is this. It is a live action survival mode game for a group of about 6 players. It pits all the campers against Jason in survival of the fittest.
Oh, I remember you sending.
Jason and the campers have access to the same weapons and can use them as they're found. Team ups, betrayals, all encouraged. There are ways to kill Jason. Camper deaths are defined as the following: headshot, multiple chest shots, missing 2 or more limbs, All weapons are foam soaked in fake blood.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, like, how do we
show
use
injury.
the weapons? Okay.
Wait, let's go back to the limbs. All right, so 2 or more. So if you're missing 1, you're okay, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Gameplay is set at 45 minutes. If Jason and campers are still alive, we go to a hardcore 15-minute sudden death. Cosplay is encouraged.
So it's only a 45-minute. I thought it was like you camp like overnight.
You do.
Okay.
The game,
game
is
itself
only
is short.
45
Okay.
minutes, and then it's just like a group of people who like Friday the 13th that can camp there for the rest of the night.
It sounds
hang out.
awesome. Yeah.
Bring your own props, but they will be inspected. They must be foam-headed. You'll get wet, bloody, and dirty, so clothing should be stuff you don't mind trashing. Ages 21 or over because they want to have alcohol after the game to kind of like celebrate or
Hell
whatever.
yeah. All right.
They don't want anybody drinking before or after the game, and you have to sign a waiver.
I'm going to drink during the game.
No, before or during the game, excuse me. After the game is fine.
Bummer.
Each player will receive a souvenir t-shirt based on their game result. So I'm
Oh.
assuming if you're the first one dead, you get a first dead, survivor, so on. It's going to be at a campsite at Canyon Lake.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he was kind of.
As we are at a campsite, camping is encouraged. So if you plan on staying, bring your gear. And then it's a free event. They're saying donations would be appreciated. And she's asking people to bring food to share.
Sweet.
And I said, that sounds great. Okay, here it is. I asked her if they plan to do this more often because I was like, well, I'm kind of interested. I don't know if I'm going to do it. My wife seems pretty interested too, although she said she's going to be scared shitless. But I was like, well, maybe it's only 6 players, right? Like if you have like 15 people that are interested, how are you going to do this? So I asked if there was going to be more events, and she said plans to hold more events hinge on the interest of how well this one goes. As the interest seems good, is very likely we'll set up more killing. And then I asked her, how do you kill Jason?
Yeah.
Because I was kind of interested. She was like, well, headshots and foam shots for the counselor, or chest shots for the counselors, but nothing about Jason. It requires a team up. She hasn't posted this in the group or the official rules, but the 2 ways are this: the ghost of Mrs. Voorhees. You find the wig and the sweater. One person must be Mama, which incapacitates Jason. While he is distracted, get your teammate to hack Jason to bits, headshots, torso, and limbs. Or there's the Jason X, which is find the liquid nitrogen, which is just water, and then you douse Jason with that and hack him to bits. So if a camper douses him, or if a camper is doused in the liquid nitrogen, it's on automatic death.
You did.
Also playing with she's also playing with a chain option to incapacitate Jason. But she doesn't want to toss anybody literally
She doesn't
in the
want
water.
the guy who's the poor actor who's playing Jason to just get the crap beat out of him.
Yeah,
with
and then
chains,
thrown into the lake with a rock.
bludgeoned with chains, and then drowned. Yeah,
She's
probably.
gonna put the official rules on there. So it's called Friday the 13th: Survive Jason. It's on Facebook. Look it up if you're interested. It's gonna be October 20th at Canyon Lake. I think there's still spots open. Her name is Maggie, and she's also known as On Pins and Needles Cosplay. Again, it's cosplay people. We see them at conventions all the time. They're really cool people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And they really like what they like. So she also wanted me to mention this. Each player will be given safety glasses and a glow stick. So in the event that someone is hurt or freaked out, they just have to break their glow stick and someone will come. A volunteer, so because I think they're having a couple volunteers too to monitor the game that aren't playing the game, so they can come and be like, all right, they're done with the game, and they'll be escorted back to home base. So I wanted to mention that. Like I said, it's Friday the 13th: Survive Jason on Facebook, and her name is Maggie. So if you're interested, reach out to them and do it. I don't know if there's other places in the country that do something similar, but I think it's a really cool idea.
That sounds really fun. I'm in. If you guys want to do it,
I think maybe we should.
I think we should.
We should definitely think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If not this one, maybe if they do another one, because it's not like something that has to be seasonal. I mean, here in Arizona, it kind of does, because I don't want to go camping in the middle of summer.
No.
Nope.
But we have about 5 months where you could do it if you had enough interest. You could do it, and refine the rules and everything. It's just a bunch of adults playing a game. It's kind of fun.
We could hook up all the microphones and podcast live, and
we could be the pod.
I'm so scared.
We could be that's our cosplay for the podcasters.
Oh my God, yeah. But I'm in, yes.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. I wanted to mention that, give a shout out to them because I told them that I would.
Well done.
And I thought it was a good idea.
We could be the commentary team for what occurs out there. So.
Narrators.
I mentioned cosplaying and conventions, and we've all gone to conventions. I've been to 3 of them. Son of Monster Palooza last year, Monster Palooza this year, beginning of this year, and Mad Monster this year, and got to meet some of the Friday the 13th people. Kane Hodder, CJ Graham, who we talked about earlier. Tom Matthews, and the guy who plays Shelly. What's his name? I don't know. What's that buzzing sound?
I don't know.
All right. Sorry.
Oh yeah, and Ted White. That was that was Monster Palooza.
Ted White, who played
Friday,
played Jason in part 3
or part 4. Ted White.
Part 4. Yeah, part 4. Part 5.
Part 3 guy. He's dead.
And
Steve
Ted White's
Dash,
almost dead.
Who was in part 2, will be at.
He's going to be at Son of Monster Palooza.
He's the only one on that lineup who I want to see.
Yeah, and there's 2 Jasons in part 2. So Steve Dash, I believe, is the stunt man. Because the other guy, what's his name? Warrington Gillette, I think was.
He was the unmasked Jason.
Oh, okay.
What wasn't Warrington Gillette the unmasked Jason?
I think you're right. Yeah,
that sounds.
I think. Steve
you're right.
Dash
Steve
was
Dash,
under the bag.
He was doing the stunts under the bag. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So either one would be cool. But then do you have him sign the hockey mask? Because I have the hockey mask also.
I would. Yeah, so Brett and I both have replica hockey masks that we as we go to these conventions, we try to get people who have played Jason to sign it.
I was thinking I should have brought it to Mad Monster and had Shelly sign it because Shelly was the first one to wear the mask.
It was his mask. Yeah.
I should have had him sign the inside of it.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like first one to wear the mask. He probably would have. He was a really nice guy. All of them have been very nice too. Ted White was really impressed with the mask when I saw him. And Ted White? It's not Ted White. Ted Knight.
Ted White.
No, Ted White.
It is Ted White. I was thinking Ted Knight.
Who's Ted Knight?
The coach?
No, Ted Knight.
That's Bobby Knight.
That's Bobby Knight.
Ted Knight was on Too Close for Comfort. The Mary Tyler Moore show. Ted White, you're right.
Ted White.
He was very impressed. He's way old.
He's like 90 or 91 or something, right?
Yeah.
He's up there.
So that means he was like
he was in his 50s. Like I read the trivia on part 4. He's the oldest person to have played. Like even at the time of filming, I think he was like he was in his 50s. And
he was a very menacing Jason. Part 4 Jason.
Yeah.
He literally scared Corey Feldman like on purpose in that scene where they're inside the house. It's towards the end.
And he comes through the window.
Yes.
Yeah.
Feldman, I think, was literally scared because he didn't know when it was going to happen.
Well, I think Feldman was pissing him off on the set too.
Well, come on. Well, Feldman.
So when did part 4 came out in 84, right?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
So I'm looking at it right now. Ted White was born in 1926, so he would have been like 58 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like ancient. So good thing we got his autograph. He was really nice though.
He was super nice.
Really, I mean, like
you're probably not listening, Ted, but we love you.
Yeah. And I mean, he wasn't like incapacitated or
no,
anything.
Yeah,
he could talk and he was able to, he wasn't like on his death. He wasn't Wilford Brimley's.
Oh man.
We have a wonderful Wilford Brimley story that'll probably
we'll tell some
make its way into a different episode.
But yeah, CJ Graham, very cool.
Yeah.
Kane Hodder, very cool.
Did you ever meet any of these guys, Alan?
Yeah, I was with you guys.
You met Kane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ted White.
Yeah.
I met Ari Lehman, if you want to count him, who played the boy Jason in the original.
Did you have him sign your mask?
I did, and he signed it really big, right in the middle. And I remember when Kane Hodder signed it, Kane Hodder was like, fucking Ari, like signing his name right in the center of the mask.
I wouldn't have had him sign it.
Yeah, I did. But you know what's funny though? I think he was the first guy that I met that played Jason. So I think I was just like, Jason, and had him sign it. But if I go back, I'd probably still do it. But I'd give him, cool. He could maybe by the ear or like.
I want you to sign it right here.
Yeah, like not prime real estate.
Save that for someone who actually played Jason.
Exactly.
So yeah, not a lot of other people have gone to the conventions from the movies. Like you said, Steve Dash is going to be there. I don't know any other actor. Well, Feldman was at Monster Palooza.
That's right.
On Friday. We went on Saturday.
Right.
And you guys, I think, went on Sunday. Also, as well Saturday. But Feldman was there on Friday, but I guess the line, it wasn't no Robert Englund line, but it was
Feldman?
Pretty insane.
Interesting.
Yeah. People wanted to get Feldman's autograph. Well, think about it. I'd get Feldman's autograph on
I
something
would
Friday
get, like,
13th.
Yeah, I guess. Or a Goonies.
Or
poster
Lost Boys.
photo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. He was in some good movies.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, Corey Feldman. They did a screening of the Goonies not too long ago, and I went to it, and he was going to be there, and I did bring an 8x10 from the Goonies to have him sign. But the line, to your
That was
point,
pretty busy,
the
too,
line was
wasn't it?
crazy long, and yeah, it didn't happen. Like when I
No.
saw the line, they even told us when we got there, like you're not gonna make it.
And even if you did, I mean, how long of a line do you wait in? I mean, there's that at conventions, and I don't know if we want to talk about conventions more in depth another time, and I think we should in another episode, but I'll just put this out there. You kind of judge the line and go, am I going to wait that long to meet this person?
for
How
sure.
long will I wait to meet this person? Robert Englund will wait 7-8 hours. And that's what we did.
That's what we did.
You know, Ari Lehman,
No.
7-8 minutes or
Yeah.
seconds.
If there's no one at his table, yes.
There's a few people you can
count.
count on to have no one there.
Which is kind of, I always feel bad.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I. And it's always uncomfortable when you're the only one there.
Yeah, it really is.
When I met that chick from Nightmare on Elm Street 3,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
the weirdo,
Yeah. Oh,
very nice, but she was just a little strange. I was
Jennifer
just,
Rubin? Was her
Yeah,
name?
Jennifer Rubin.
I was just very
Oh,
uncomfortable.
she's wonderful.
She was
No,
nice.
she was nice.
Yeah, she was very
yeah.
nice.
But it was just me and my son and
Yeah.
her. And I'm like, my son's never seen part 3, I don't think. And I was just like, well, I'll get her autograph because I love that movie. And then she started talking to me about astrology. And I'm like, all right, I'm out of here.
I gotta go. See ya.
Anyway, was there anything else we want to talk about Friday the 13th related?
Do we want to do? We want to talk cereal?
Sure.
right.
Serial killers.
So, Funko, who does the pop figures, did a series of breakfast cereals, and it's real cereal with like custom artwork for the box. All the box art looks really cool, very cartoonish. Some of it, like they have some exclusives, and I think some you can get at like Hot Topic and different places.
There's a
like
Pennywise one. It's
yeah,
the Hot Topic
and there's a
exclusive.
Beetlejuice one I think that you can get.
I got that one from Box
They made them
Lunch.
look like they're marketed for kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like kids'
Yeah.
breakfast cereal, but for adults.
Kind
well,
of.
kind of.
I think they're for
I
kids
guess
also.
For
kids-
everyone.
Kids can enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, listen, the Funko Pops that they have out, there's some that are just like, I'm like, really? Like my son has The Shining, he has Jack Torrance and the wife, what's her name? Sally?
oh God, give me
Wendy.
the bat. Wendy, give me the bat,
I
Wendy.
think just about everything has its own Funko Pop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have my own.
And so in the boxes, I want that one. I gotta collect it. Gotta sign it for me. I'll leave it in the box forever, so it's more valuable. But inside the boxes of cereal also comes with miniature Funko figures of whatever character on the box that you did. So I ordered boxes of the Freddy cereal as well as the Jason cereal. And we have a couple of unopened boxes here.
Yeah. So here's my thing for you though.
Yeah.
Do you want to open them?
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Okay, because they're out of stock.
Oh, well, yeah. I want to open them. Otherwise, they're just going to sit there. And
Not go up.
I
in
don't think
value.
these things are going to be super valuable anyway. I think,
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years from now, I think I paid like $12 for each box.
Well,
They'll probably be worth $20.
I mean, why not open them, enjoy the cereal,
Yeah.
close it back up, and display
Yeah,
it.
the box.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
leave it
eat
out
some
there
cereal.
for the mice and rats to
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
No, so what we're going to do is, I'm going to open the boxes. I'm going to pour a bowl of each for all of us or for the three of us. We're going to do a little taste test here.
We're not gonna have milk, right?
I've got milk. If you
I don't
want
want milk. Just a little.
I will take milk.
I'll be honest. It's almond milk.
That's fine.
Do you like almond milk?
I don't really drink a lot of
Such a hippie.
We're
dairy
very-
milk
yeah,
these
it's a
days, but almond milk
Very
is good.
progressive household.
Crunchy.
We drink almond milk.
Eat hummus.
So what we're gonna do is, so we're gonna pour some bowls, or for Brett, he's gonna eat it dry like dog food.
Yep.
And we'll crunch into the microphones and everything. So
we'll tell you
make
how it
nice,
tastes.
We'll make it real obnoxious. And we'll give our opinion of Freddy versus Jason. Who is the
wins the
better
cereal?
coming right up.
Yep.
I'm glad to see the monster roasted to death before my very eyes.
All right, we are back, and in an interesting development, we just keeping it real here. We did not open these boxes prior to pouring, as I said. We opened the boxes and discovered that the cereal is identical. So if you were debating, if you're on a budget and you can only afford but one box of cereal,
Buy your favorite
yeah,
character.
buy your favorite character because the cereal is exactly the same.
Now, I will say, I have the Beetlejuice one. It's green.
What?
I'm not opening mine. And my son got the devil from Bendy and the Ink Machine, and it's black. So it does come in different colors. I don't know about the flavors.
I feel cheated, ripped off.
But you got both boxes.
The box, the art
box art
the
is
box
cool.
art is really,
They
really
could
cool.
have probably done the Freddy Krueger in green.
And we took the prizes out of the prizes are underneath the bag.
About an
And
inch high.
they're really small. Yeah, probably about an inch. The Freddy and Jason, and they are to their credit pretty cool looking. Actually, I think the Freddy one's pretty cool with the hat and he's got the glove. Pretty cool.
No, they're both cool.
All right, so let's.
It's really sticky too. Mine doesn't have any milk on it. It's really like clumpy and sticky.
Yeah, it was like a rock when we opened it. We
Yeah.
had to like break it apart to get
right,
it to
I'm gonna
pour.
take a bite.
Here we go.
Lots of preservatives.
What flavor is that?
Like strawberry? That's strawberry?
It's kind of like
I'm getting some more.
it's kind of like a Fruit Loop and an Applejack had a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like kind of a challenged kid who can't swim that well.
It's pretty good. It reminds me of Fruit Loops and maybe a little Frankenberry.
Yeah.
If you want to stick with like
It might be like I haven't had Frankenberry in a long time. The non-marshmallow part of Frankenberry. It might taste like that.
there are no marshmallows, so if you're a marshmallow fan,
It's not bad.
it's actually pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, it's like Fruit Loops.
Yeah, I could eat this.
I definitely wouldn't buy it to eat though.
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's-
wouldn't eat it on a regular basis.
It's $12 a box.
Yeah, exactly. And by comparison, I saw at the grocery store a couple days ago, Frankenberry, Boo Berry, and Count Chocula are out on shelves. They're at like $1.99.
Yeah.
And I would put those over this as far as taste
And I think
goes.
you get more. Like that bag
Yep.
didn't have a lot of cereal.
Yeah, it
in
was 7 ounces, I think it said on the box, and I think the Frankenberry and Count Chocula was like close to 10, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So, yeah, bang for buck. Stick with Count Chocula and Frankenberry.
But
for
if
sure.
you're looking to get something fun with cool artwork, I mean Frankenberry, Count Chocula, Boo Berry, they have
Those
cool
are
artwork.
iconic.
Yeah.
Yep.
But definitely, I mean, $12 for a little collector item.
Definitely a collectible.
I've spent $12 on dumber stuff, which I don't.
I
know
spent
if that's a
$12
good
on
or
way
bad
dumber
thing,
stuff.
but yeah.
But if
yeah,
you got
pretty good.
horror collectibles on your shelf, this is definitely pretty cool to display.
Yeah, and speaking of horror collectibles, if you do have anything Friday the 13th related, why don't you send us an email, right? They can email us.
Yeah, so if you want to send us an email, we are at swearwolvespodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at the Swearwolves, or just our website, www.theswearwolves.com. And we also are on Facebook, The Swearwolves. So we are The Swearwolves on everything except our email address, which is swearwolvespodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Keeping it uniform just for you.
Yep. So look us up, hit us up, send us an email, maybe your favorite Friday the 13th moment, or tell me how dumb I am on my Friday the 13th theories, or tell David how dumb he is for buying a $12 box of cereal.
Of identical cereal with just different artwork. Yeah. Or if you have suggestions for the show, if there's topics you'd like for us to talk about, any suggestions are welcomed. Any criticism, if you want to talk about how many, you want to tell me I say a lot, you can do that, and then you can go fuck
Actually,
yourself.
I think we did a good job of not saying that much.
You know what? Now we're gonna play it back and we'll be like,
That's
we
all I'm gonna
said
hear.
like 30, like 100 goddamn times.
Fuck you. All right. Well, for the Swearwolves, I'm Brett,
I'm David.
I'm Alan.
and we'll see you next time.